Hello. Welcome to the Lost State Recordings Podcast.
Hi there, this is Trey. This is the Lost State Recordings Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you're a new listener or an old listener, we've been trying to ramp up and we're going to try to start doing this podcast more. So if you want to tell your friends, tell your dad, tell your cat, tell your dog, go ahead and tell them to check out the Lost State Recordings Podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, all these other weird stores that I've seen that podcasts go to. I don't know what they are, but you know, wherever you can find it, listen to it. Today on this episode, we interviewed one of the founding and still active members, one of the best dudes in the metal scene at the moment. Logan Rivera is the lead singer, guitar player for a band called Gillian Carter. They're out of Orlando, I believe Orlando, Florida area. And they've been around for, in the conversation we had, I didn't even realize it was like 19 years, almost 20 years that they've been like a band and actively playing. It's crazy, but we sat down with Logan. We had like a little chat and we had a little conversation about the band, himself. We also talked about music gear, some mastering, audio engineering kind of stuff at the end. This was a really fun interview, and I've known Logan for a couple years now through going to Fest in Gainesville. I always was an admirer of watching him and his band, Gillian Carter. I thought they were awesome. And then getting to actually meet him and make friends with him at Fest through my homeboys Machinist. Shout out to Machinist. Those are my boys from the South. Shout out to them. But anyways, let's get into this interview. I think we talked for about, I don't know, like an hour or so. But yeah, here it is. The interview with Logan Rivera from Gillian Carter. 3, bada bing. All right. Hi, Logan. Welcome to the Lost State Recordings Podcast.
Hey.
What's up, bud?
Thanks for having me.
Oh my God. Thanks for being here. I was kidding.
Woo.
So how's your day so far?
So far, so good. I hung out with Jesse DeSiena. It's his birthday today.
Okay.
So yeah, we hung out last night because we're getting ready for, we call it Wedding Fest 2. We're playing songs for his wedding in February, and we have to like learn a bunch of songs.
What songs are you guys like playing? Like a certain genre or like covers or something?
It's kind of all over the place. We're doing some My Chemical Romance. We're doing Hawthorne Heights. We're doing Wicked Game, but we're doing Hymn's cover of Wicked Game.
Hymn?
Which I didn't know was a thing.
Razor Blade Romance.
I mean, I never got into that band.
I will say I got into them for like a split second when I was a little skater kid in California.
Sure.
And I was like obsessed with Bam Margera and CKY and shit. And I was like, this band's fucking sick.
That makes all the sense. Yep.
Yeah, anyways, I was going to ask, I got some questions. I have like 10 questions. I don't know. Probably can't get through all these in a podcast. But first of all, I was just curious, as far as the band for Gillian Carter, right? It's Gillian Carter.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've even like talked to multiple people. They're like, yeah, Gillian. I'm like, it's Jill. I remember you specifically, I think last Fest or something. I was like, or a couple of years ago, I was like, Gillian Carter? You're like, yeah, Gillian. I was like, all right, cool. I was curious, where did that name come from? Like, is there anything specific, or did you just like go, that's cool, and like name it Gillian Carter? Or is there any significance?
No, zero significance.
Okay.
Period. I thought that I heard it in a song, and I was like, oh, dude, cool. Band names that are people names are awesome. And then we played a show with that band, and they asked the same question, and I said, I got it from one of your songs. And they're like, we've never said that in the history of the band. And then it was too late to change the MySpace. So
you're like, fuck it, roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, that was it. Like, you know, if I had known that this band was going to be around longer than a year, I would have called it something. I would have called it something different. or I would have spelled it with a J.
Yeah. So it was like a smaller band, probably, right? It wasn't like a. Was it a bigger
It was
band?
it was a band from Orlando in the like early 2000s called Allegory of the Cave.
Allegory of the Cave. That's a cool name.
Yeah.
The band names are one of the hardest things, even in bands I've been in, where we're just sitting there. I'm just like, the fuck do we call it? Like, there's like, there's always like it's just putting the in front, which is like kind of silly. You don't have to, but like, I still like the sometimes if it makes sense. Like the number 12 looks like you. The blah. I didn't know if there was any significance to it, so I thought I'd ask that.
Like I said, I wish if I had known that this band would have been something for more than a couple months, I would have definitely called it something different.
Did you ever seriously consider like trying to change the name at some point after a while?
In 2012 or 2013, yeah, in 2012, I wanted to call it Lost Ship Singing with the Sunset, and then just ended up calling our album that. So
yeah,
it was like, all right.
Yeah, I'm like, I have your Bandcamp pulled up right now. I like didn't realize how much shit you really did. Okay, so here's a funny story. I remember when I started my old label, Lost State Records, I got a bunch of distro tapes from, I don't even remember who it was. Maybe actually, I don't know what happened to them. I don't know. I don't know if they're still, they might have passed, I think. It was a guy who ran a label from like Philly. I forgot. He was in a band. I literally don't. I'm like trying to remember so hard. It's been so long. Anyways, I'll forget about that. But he handed me, I think this album. I had songs for Split 7-inch. He made a tape, I think.
Yeah,
I had a couple tapes of that I sold, and I remember getting them going, what band is this? I was like, well, whatever. And then like I was just like, just slinging random distro tapes. But then I remember listening to it, and I was like, oh, these guys are sick. And then just like years later, I just remember seeing you guys. I think the first time I caught back up with you again was when you did a split with Islet, and I was like, oh yeah, Gillian Carter. I actually tracked a live session with Islet in Portland here. They came through. I worked for a drum company doing like live sessions on this little like portable drum kit called Beatbox drums. And I did awesome. I shot that video and recorded them with my friend Drew. We sat there and we did it for a bit, and then we kind of like it just kind of fell apart and we stopped doing it for the company. But Islet was great. They're fucking heavy as shit.
The homies, yeah.
Like their last album, it's been a bit. I think they put a new one out recently, maybe, or their last album was great. I bought that shit on vinyl. Are you close with them? Like, pretty well?
Yeah. We used to hang pretty hard back in the day. I mean, we used to tour a lot, and then anytime we would come through Baltimore, we would hang, and we used to play a lot of shows together. The homies.
Dude, hell yeah. Yeah, they were super nice. I think Craig, he's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
He does like tattoos. I always follow his Instagram where he's like doing tattoos and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, what else do I got? Also what, I already asked that question. What do you feel the like long game for Gillian Carter? Like what goals do you have? Like, do you ever think you want to sign to an actual bigger label and then like grind? Or do you think this will be like a project, an artistic expression of yourself that you will get to a point and just be like, I'm going to do other stuff and then move on? Or are you always like very music focused into like doing this as a career?
It's crazy because like this band's been going on it'll be 19 years this December. I've tried to stop, you know what I mean? Like I've tried to not do it, but since the band is basically just like a way of me coping with my brain. It's basically therapy for me, basically. Well, I mean, I don't know, like I don't know, it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm incredibly grateful that we're just able to like play shows and people care about it. You know what I'm saying? Like it kind of, you know what I mean? Like we recently got a booking agent, which, and out of however many years that we've been a band,
Yeah.
like we get a lot of spam emails all the time, and we got this email from someone being like, "Do you guys have representation?" And I'm like, you know, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just sure, whatever. And then, you know, I was like, look, we'll only work with you if we can get on these huge festivals or whatever. And like, they were like, oh, I've actually worked with some of these. And I was like, sure, okay. And then like I didn't hear anything from them. And then like a month later, it was like, hey, we got an offer from Damnation Fest. And I was like, oh my God, you're real. This is like a real
Oh shit.
a real person actually talk, not like a bot trying to get me to give them my social security number. You know what I mean?
Well, it's hard to know. I mean, is this all via email?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like via email. So like to you, you're like, I don't know what the fuck you are, unless you see like an actual descript like email like that's like from a company or something. It's just like, what would the emails look like? Was it just like random someone's name at something?
Well, you mean like prior to this one, or?
Well, I just mean like, what does their email look like? Like their actual like the name of their email. Is it like fishy looking, or is it just like someone's name? Like you didn't know it was like a real person.
Yeah. So in prior ones, it's always like wanna take your music to the next level. Like, let's go for this like marketing thing, and then like our booking agent reached out. And before, we were with them, and I was like, is this...
the booking agent. Sorry, I was thinking you were meaning just like a random... the actual booking agent. I thought you just meant a random person. My bad. Misunderstanding.
No. Yeah.
So they were like, hey, do you need representation? You're like, yeah, whatever. Like, I can get you on shit. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe we can use a booker.
Yeah, it was like, do you have representation? And I was like, what? Do you want $200 a year? What do you need? You know what I'm saying? My
10%
security number, like, and then they were like, "Oh no, I'm like a real booking agent," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Do you know what what agent your guys' booking guy? Do you know who he works for? Like what company?
Now he works for, it's called Upsurge Artists. His name's Philip.
Yeah, Upsurge. I want to make note of that. Upsurge.
Based in like I think Upsurge is in the UK, but now they're branching over to the US. So
wow,
we'll see yeah.
Interesting. I mean, why wouldn't they? Like, there's a lot of American bands. I mean, like UK is big, sort of big enough. Like
something I noticed though is that like UK and European booking agencies usually just like do their own thing, and then like you have like an agent in like the States or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about the booking aspect. I know a little bit just from my girlfriend runs all the marketing for a promoter company here, which owns like two of the most like notable venues in Portland. So I've learned so much just on the back end of stuff, which I just did a podcast the other day where it was about merch cuts and the venue side of like, which I'm curious to see what you think about. I don't know if you've gotten a lot of merch cuts taken from you. I did a whole podcast basically explaining how merch cuts work behind the scenes because I've been there and have seen them, and I actually sell merch and do stuff like that. So yeah, that was something that I was like, this is an interesting topic for a podcast. People don't really know about this. As far as that being said, have you had any experience with like playing random shows and someone's just coming up asking you for like money from like your shirts or something?
No. Okay.
Yeah.
We've never had that happen, and yeah, I don't know. I've never had that happen. Since I've never had that happen, I don't know.
Let me start. Oh, sorry. Let me rephrase. I forget. Usually it's like the headliners will get merch cuts. I forgot opening. If you've ever played for bigger bands, I've just realized that, I think even after doing the podcast, I was like, oh yeah, it's usually a lot of the opener bands don't get merch cuts. But if you were like doing a show where you guys were like booking it and you were playing, sometimes venues would, like if you were the main act, they would probably ask for a merch cut, which...
Yeah, well, whenever we tour like Europe, and then when we toured the UK, we weren't asked for like merch cuts or anything like that. And we actually haven't done like a tour in the States since like 2022.
Oh yeah, so it's been a minute, yeah.
Yeah, all of our touring has just been overseas and stuff.
Okay.
Recently.
Do you find that Where have you been finding in Europe? I don't know if you've done any stats looking at your like streams or other stuff. Do you know, is there certain areas where people listen to you a lot that you're like, what the hell? Like someone in Yugoslavia or something, it was like super jamming our stuff online, or like I've seen stats on my stuff where I'm like, a bunch of people in Russia were like, hell yeah, this old post screamo band that I was in, they're just like obsessed with it. And I was just like, what the hell? That's like weird numbers.
Well, okay, I don't know if I can log in on my phone, but I remember it saying that like London and Germany and like and LA. I know that's not Europe, but like those are like the top like spots.
Yeah, usually it will be like America usually is the biggest one, but then they'll usually be broken down if you look at like your Spotify account. I mean, if that is like the main thing where you get a lot of plays and stuff, that will be where you would look to like see the stats. Which is funny, like not to talk about myself, but too much, but I was in an old band called American Memories. It was like a little kind of scramsy post-screamo band. When we were around, we didn't really do too much, but we put out some stuff, did some comps and splits and stuff, and the old band that I was in, we didn't get a lot of people listening to us, and then we've been broken up for years, and then I look back and like within the last 2 years we had like 6,000 monthly Spotify listeners. I was like,
oh, sick.
I was like, what the fuck? Like who the fuck? And I realized, I don't know, some of the stuff we did, all these like little young kids, they're all on all these playlists, so we were just getting massive people seeing us from playlists and stuff, which I didn't realize that would equate to like 6,000 monthly listeners. Which I was actually getting like a check for like $50 every like 2 months or something from like my, I used Route Note as a distro just for certain stuff. I did DistroKid, but I don't know, DistroKid's like whatever. Speaking on that, what's do you guys handle all you do all your own digital and stuff, right?
Yeah, we do. We've got everything up till the last 3 records. Skeletal Lightning.
Skeletal.
Put those up. Yeah.
Sean, right? Is it Sean?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean. I've talked to Sean. I don't know him very well, but we've talked a handful of times when I used to run a label. He's really nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Sean's the homie.
Yeah, dude, he like blew that fucking label up like pretty good. And
yeah,
then,
awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, what you were gonna say? And then what?
Oh no, sorry. I don't think there was anything else. I was just saying he blew that label up, and I was thinking, I'm like, what else could I say? And then I paused. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, I'll move on from this topic. Let's see. What else?
Okay. Yeah.
What else can I ask? Let's see. So you have an upcoming. You're going to Europe soon, right? Is that or you did it?
Yeah, We're going back to Europe in April. I don't have a final route yet, but we got on Roadburn, which I'm super stoked about.
Oh,
it's been a fest I've always wanted to play. So
where's that at again?
The Netherlands.
In the Netherlands. Is it? I don't know anything about the Netherlands. I know Amsterdam is in the area, right? Or is there what other cities are around in the Netherlands?
Yeah, I don't know. It's around. So we're getting ready for that. Well, so first we have so much going on right now. We're like getting ready for this wedding because it's like we have a lot of stuff we have to learn. We also have to like try to find time to finish writing and record a new record, and then which I'm not really too concerned about it. We'll get to it whenever we get to it.
Yeah.
But we gotta also get ready to go back to Europe. So it's like in time we have all this stuff to like figure out.
I mean, it's one of those things where if you're not doing, or if you're not like putting out albums on like a schedule, like you're on a contract like based thing with like a label, it's like you could just put shit out whenever you want, unless you specifically wanted to like put it out because you have other plans or something that you won't get around to doing it for a long time. That would make sense if like people in like personal lives getting in the way. But I was just like, you've been very proficient about putting stuff out the last couple of years. Like you have a lot of albums, so it's like one of those things you see bands where they'll put out like an EP and then like maybe a full length, and then they tour on that for like fucking 5 years, And then
Yeah.
and then you see bands that are just like consistently putting out new stuff. And I don't know if anyone else judges bands by that, or I don't really care. If people put out stuff whenever they put out stuff, to me, I don't. It's not like I'm expecting, like, where's the new album? You know, I don't know if people are that impatient, but
I don't know. I don't really know. People have been asking us. It's funny because now people have been asking us like when we're gonna like repress like old stuff, and I'm like, really?
how old? Like old stuff?
Well, either we've had people asking about like our first 2 records, and then we've had a lot of people asking about like our 4th record, which there will be a repress eventually. Like we're waiting for the 4th record. We're waiting for like the 10-year. So
Yeah.
got some time. But I mean, like the first 2 albums, I mean, it's kind of wild to me because it's like the first 2 albums, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like people didn't really care too much, which is not true. I feel like we toured a lot off of our 2nd album, but it's like it came out in like 2011, and then like we didn't actually start touring off of it until like 2012.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that we've been thinking about doing. It took a minute to put out the reissue of the 3rd record, but that finally happened.
Yeah. Who did that? Was it Skeletal or?
No, the reissue. Or wait, for the reissue or?
Yeah, that you were just saying.
We did. We
you
did.
You just did it.
Yeah.
Okay, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, hell yeah. Oh, you did a split with Coma Regalia. Oh yeah.
Yep.
I forgot about that.
It's a 6-inch, I think.
That's fucking 6-inch.
Yeah, it's so wild. It like
Fuck,
I think
7 inches,
one-sided.
6-inch. This album's gonna be a 4-inch vinyl record. It's still like $15 a piece.
Yeah, a 10 LP 4-inch record.
Do you remember when vinyl was like cheap as shit? And like, I feel like it was so much cheaper when I'll say 2010 up until probably 2016. I just remember like doing split albums with people, and there was a couple bands. Do you ever heard of a Spanish screamo band called Viva Bel Grotto? You ever heard of them? They're super.
I've heard
good.
the name, but I can't say that any songs. I feel like I've heard the name though.
They were like really screamo-y, and then I think they turned into more like kind of more emo-y. Like, I mean, they were like emo screamo kind of stuff, but they turned into a little bit more mainstreamy. But that was one of the bands I put out a long time ago. I put out with like this is. I feel like people would be like, "This is crazy" nowadays. It'd be like, yeah, you'd see like a 12-inch or a 7-inch record put out by like fucking 8 labels.
Yeah.
Because it'd be like 3 from like Europe somewhere, 2 other American, like 1 Canadian. Everyone just like spreading the product so they can just like send it around, I guess. Or just they just wanted to be involved in on it, which I think for me, I got fucked on some stuff because I put it out with like other labels, and then there was another US label, and then I sat there going, oh shit, well then this label's more known, everyone's just gonna buy everything from them. But then they would come to me after if they didn't have any, but I was just like, oh, and I just ended up sitting on them for a while.
What was the label?
For what? My label or?
No, the other label that you said was involved. That was a label.
Let me just look up real fast. Lost shit, I think I deleted the Bandcamp from my old label. I don't even remember.
Yeah,
let me look at. I'll just look at there. Viva Bel Grotto, Bandcamp. The album was called right here. The album was called. It's funny in English. Wait, there, right there. Flores Carne, but it's just Flowers Meat. Okay. I was gonna say in American, in English, it's Flowers Meat. It was put out with Dingleberry Records, Germany. Kofen Records in Germany. Wait, they're like all German. That's weird. Belgium, Mosh Potatoes, Desadore.
What was Dingleberry the bigger label you were talking about?
Dingle. I don't know if I said that there was a bigger. I just said like like multiple labels. Walking is Still Honest from Andalusia. What the fuck is that? My name was on here at one point, and they took mine off because they did like fucking 10 represses. So they're like, yeah, get rid of this guy.
Okay.
Well, because I wasn't. They probably were like, oh, he's not even a label anymore. So they just took. I mean, I don't take offense to that. Whatever. Yeah, it was just like one of those albums where I'm like, I'll help, and I just jumped in and was like, okay.
Hell yeah.
I didn't know how to run a label. I just was doing shit.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever know? This is interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine. Do you ever know a guy named Dandy who ran Driftwood Records? Do you ever remember that label?
I do remember the label. I'm trying to
I
think.
don't know if you knew the guy that well.
I don't know.
Yeah, he got canceled. He got hell
I'm
canceled.
so bad with names. Like it's awful. But no,
I mean, me too. Having ADHD doesn't help, but
yeah, same. I feel like I do. I feel like I remember the label, the label, but I don't know.
it was like a label. It was a kid. It was a kid named Dandy from like Eugene, actually, which is funny. I moved up to Portland from California, and then I like years later, I was like, oh yeah, he like lived an hour or something away from here. Yeah, he ran a label. There was like a lot of cool screamo stuff, and just he put out a lot of cool stuff. But then he ended up just fucking over bands, and then some sort of the singer from a band called Flowers Tape Depends. There was like a bunch of drama. Who their name is Connie, and then they went on to start the band called See You Space Cowboy.
Okay.
That's basically some sort of drama of like sexual assault or something like that kind of ended all that, and then he just went into hiding. Okay. And then he basically came out and tried to start another label, and then everyone just flogged him like without putting his name anywhere, and everyone's like, this is him, and they like shut it down, which I was like, yeah, he was like stealing money from bands. He would take money to do tapes for bands, and then he would just like not do them. And yeah, he just started like robbing people, I think, from my understanding. Allegedly. I don't think he'd be listening to this.
True.
But
sucks.
Other question. So Europe tour, you're excited for the Europe tour.
Yeah.
Are you going to some of the same places you went before? Or like same venues at all? Or just like same, or was it like a lot of house shows? I know that the circuit that Edie from Come Regalia would say that they would go to different spots. They played it like in an abandoned warehouse, and like everyone was so sweet in Europe. Like it seemed like people in Europe actually really cared about music, and not to say like people in America don't care about music, but it just they treat live performance and like they just treat it more special than maybe just kids going, I'm going to a show, and then standing outside and then sing a song and dip out.
Yeah, it's 110% true. Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know if we're playing some of the same places we played on our last European run, but I know we're going to a couple of the same cities. I know we're going to Paris again. I think it said we're going.
I'm just kidding.
I'm trying to remember.
Wait, your Booker's is your Booker doing all this one? Right?
Yeah.
Because he's UK, so he's got deeper pockets as far as knowing where to play. Not money. Yeah. Just I meant knowing place.
Take the wheel and letting him take the wheel on it. So.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't have I have some of them on my phone, but I'd have to like get out of this in order to like pull it back up.
Oh yeah, you're fine.
But, I know we're going to a couple of the same cities. I just don't remember which cities at this moment.
That's all right. It's all right. I need you to know that I need those exact dates. So you need to tell me after the podcast. I'm just kidding.
You should have said that. I would have pulled it all up.
I need them now, Logan.
The best part is we had so much complication to try to get this to even happen. And now that we're actually like you and me for this podcast, like now that we have it, I'm on my phone and it's able to work. That's where I have most of my crap.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. So one note I was gonna ask about. I think the last times I saw you at Fest, I think you were rocking like a Dunnable, I think, weren't you? Was it Dunnable or something else? Guitar.
Okay, at this last Fest, I was.
You're rocking like a hollow body. What is that?
Yeah, I was doing an Ibanez.
Ibanez.
Hollow body, and it was my favorite guitar.
Really.
My only properly functioning guitar, and I was like, well, I have to play it. Like It's my only guitar that actually functions properly right now. All of my issues with all of my guitars, they all have like electrical issues, like weird issues with like pickups or like volume pots or something like that have all like just, I don't know, like.
So when one just messes up, you just throw it in a corner and grab another one. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, I got really into like buying like very cheap guitars and like modding them.
Hell yeah, that's what I do.
But problems happen with the electronics or whatever.
Yeah, they're not great.
No. The last time at Fest, I was rocking that hollow body, and I think at the Fest, the year before, I was rocking like a Jackson Rhodes V. It was like the super cheap.
Yeah, the natural wood body. I remember that.
Super cheap model. Yeah.
Or wait, I'm looking at the live Fest album. It almost looks like a jazz master. It's not a jazz master.
Oh yeah, that year that was a jazz master.
It was a jazz. It was a jazz.
That's a Squier Jazzmaster that I bought off Craigslist a long time ago, with the intention to like mod it and like do a bunch of like, basically just make it like a sick. So like I saw like a video of Kerpaloo when I was in high school, like playing a modded Jazzmaster, which I learned it was just like a Warmoth like parts guitar. But I was like, I'm gonna do that. But I had put in so much money into the Jazzmaster trying to get it to like work the way I wanted it to, that I was just like, I can't justify really like playing guitar because it wasn't functioning the way I needed it to. Like I replaced the bridge twice, and like the low E and high E strings would both like pop out of the saddles.
Yeah.
Like, when I would play, and then the tuning pegs, I replaced those, but they would always go out of tune. Yeah. And then the pickup, originally I bought this like adapter for the pickup, the Jazzmaster, like pickups are huge, and I bought this like adapter, a humbucker in, and then that broke because it was just like a 3D print thing that I got. And like long story short, I was kind of over it failing all the time. Like I wanted to love a guitar so much that it just never worked out.
I've been there. I have literally like 10 guitars. I have a Jazzmaster I've been painting. It was like one of those red gold anodized pick guards. Like I just don't like the red. My friend gave it to me, and I'm turning it into a total, I wouldn't say Hello Kitty guitar, but I spray painted it like a really light pink. And then with the gold and the pink is just going to look sick. So I just have to finish clear coating it. And it's been, I think, 2 years since I've started that project. I was like, I'll finish it. It's in the garage. I was like, I'll do it one day. But
I have the best part about projects. They'll always be there.
It'll always be there. I even bought a brand new replacement Jazzmaster neck for it and all this shit. It's just sitting in the shit. Oh yeah. Like I bought it off, get this. I bought this Jazzmaster replacement neck, perfectly brand new, off a dude. He's like, he like makes guitars and other stuff. He's like, I don't really need it. He's like, $100. I was like, these are like fucking $600 if you go to buy, or no, not $600. Sorry. Wait, hold on. How many? Yeah, it was like $100 or $90, and they're usually like $200. So I snagged this brand new fucking Jazzmaster neck, and then I just have to finish it. But that was before I was diagnosed with ADHD. So now I have the focus. I could do it one day. I just have to do it. So that's something I will do at some point. You were talking about the the E strings jumping out of the saddle. I have a Squier 70 or the 72 Deluxe, like the black humbucker Telly. I have that, and I've been spending all this time trying to adjust the intonation, and it just like it plays fine, but there's always like fucking one thing where I'm like, it's fucking buzzing right here, and I don't know how to like fix or set up guitars very well, but like I'm low key like just trying to teach myself how to do it, and I've gotten some good results. And then I'm like, why is this not in tune on the 12th note? And there's like, oh dude, you have to pull the thing back. And then I'm like, there's so much involved with guitars you don't think about until you start fucking with them. So, but they're also, it's fun tweaking, but there's a point where I'm just sitting there like, I've literally spent hours. I'm like, I just want to play guitar. I don't want to sit there and tweak this fucking thing just to get it to be functional. So that's where I'm at. I'm like, I don't know if I want to tweak too much.
Well, it takes away from like the joy of playing guitar. Yeah. Like, dude, guitar is still fucked up, and I want to play guitar. Like,
yeah, that's the point of it.
I know. I'm I'm slowly like, okay, so I kind of fixed it up to where I can play it now because I fixed the tuners. Like I had to tighten. I didn't know that you could tighten them like to where
Yeah.
like I didn't know that. I didn't know that you
Yeah.
can tighten the little turning guys.
Yeah, there's like little screws on the end. I thought if I tighten those really tight one day, like back in the day, I'm like, oh, if I tighten these really tight, they won't move, like it won't go out of tune. But that wasn't the case. It's just as far as how hard you want to turn it. I did actually bought. This is what I will say to everybody that my friend said to me. I have a pack of for this Telecaster. I bought a pack of locking lug tuner things, which I'm like I don't know. It still might go out of tune a little bit, maybe if something else is moving around. But I think if you put those bad boys on, it should stay in tune like way better than if you just use normal tuning pegs. From my understanding, because they're locking, right? It's just like it's kind of like a sort of Floyd Rose, but not really.
I think the whole I think the whole point is that you don't have to do as many winds.
Yeah, you just run it through, leave a little slack.
Yeah.
Cut the end, and then you just go boop boop. Because my dumbass when I was a kid, I would run the string all the way through hard, and then fucking start winding it, and then I'd be turning it and going, why the fuck is it like not staying in tune? And it would just be the neck is like.
So that's what's going on. Yeah. So I fixed the tuner pegs, and I was told that one easy fix is to just play a thicker gauge so that to not get the strings to pop out of the saddles.
Yeah, that's one thing.
That works, but now I have to try to like set it up because the thicker gauge is kind of like starting to like get the neck to bow a little bit.
Yeah, because there's too much tension, so you have to like get the truss rod in it, and then even figuring out, it's like turn it clockwise. I'm like, from what fucking direction do I look? Look down the neck or from the back? Like which one? That's not the same. Like, I think it's looking down at the actual nut. Because you're looking at a bolt like a nut where you're going lefty loosey, righty tighty, or So when you're looking down at the neck, you see the bolt right. If it's on the top, sometimes some guitars are on the bottom, but you would go, clockwise, counterclockwise, looking at the actual nut. Where it's like going. And then I found out, I realized, but I didn't realize. My friend said the intonation rod or whatever, the truss rod, it only goes from the top to like almost the 12th fret. So he's like, if you have issues up past the 12th fret, like 15th fret up, if there's any buzzing, then at that point, I think you're going to have to adjust the bridge or do some sort of stuff.
And stuff with the bridge.
I don't know. Guitars are fucking annoying. You ever seen those guitar? One thing, I don't know why this popped in my head. Do you ever see that fucking stupid influencer guitar where it's like an acoustic one, but it's got a hole, but it has all these built-in effects on the top where all the like TikTokers were using or some shit?
I have not.
It's not around anymore too much, thank God.
Oh,
me and the Machinist boys. I'm not gonna get in trouble. We were in Bend, Oregon on the tour we did on the West Coast, and we were at a pawn shop, and I was at a pawn shop with Mount Marshall, and I was like, oh, cool guitar stuff. And in Bend, Oregon's pretty like kind of right leaning. So I looked over, and everyone's in the one section of the store. I'm like, oh, there's like AR-15s and shit, just guns and shit everywhere. And everyone's like, yeah, guns. And I'm like, we're all looking at like nerds looking at guitar shit. I'm like, oh, sick, look at these guitars. We went to a music shop, and they had one of those stupid guitars. And I remember fucking with it, and I smacked it, and I scratched the fuck out of it. And these people were like weird about all these metal dudes in their shop, so they were following us around. And I was like, they're not looking at me. I was like, I put it back. I'm like, ooh, just like walked away. I'm like, fuck. Yeah. And then we took off. But as far as guitar stuff,
I
love your tones you get with your song, even live. Like it's just chaotic. I feel like I know how you kind of do it just from like pedals and other stuff, but if you could give me, if you want, you don't have to, if it's like your signature sound, but like what pedals, like when you're doing your riffing, right? And then, there's just like having it open and it's just like feedback or other stuff, but there's just like this chaotic rumble that I just I haven't heard from different bands where, I don't know if it's like what chain you're using. It just has this really cool fucking rumble like feedback sound, but then you'll go into stuff and it's just like clean and tighter. And I'm just like,
wow,
are you hitting something that's just like a super crazy boost, or like are you doing something when you're like going crazy, when you're like, you're like swinging around and shit, you're like, I feel like I've seen you hit something where it's like just a gnarly fuzz or something that's just like making it, pushing it really hard and feeding back. And I mean, that's like a really weird, like abstract thing I'm saying, I guess, but I think you know what I mean. But yeah, just I'll keep it simple. Like your chain, if you can kind of explain it for like me, because I'm just interested in it, or other guitar nerds.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. I wish there was some like secret, like chaos, some secret like I can't tell you, but like
No.
Literally, I've been doing this for years. I mean, the pedals have changed for distortion, but ever since I found this one pedal, I've been using this pedal forever. So I just use clean amp. Like any amp that I'll play on, I just use a clean channel.
You just platforming for your pedals, basically.
That's it.
Yeah.
And my main distortion since like 2017 or
let me guess, the Boss Metalcore pedal.
I wish. I wish. Actually, that pedal actually does sound really good.
Does it? I bought a modded Metal Zone from a guy from Electronics in Seattle that has a mod in it where when you tweak a knob, it actually starts self-oscillating. So
that's sick.
Yeah, I like finding weird ass. He's a cool mod. If you ever look up Fromel, it's like Fromel. Pretty simple mod.
Okay.
If you know how to solder and stuff, you just pull a couple components out and put some other ones in. He has these sick mods for mainly a lot of Boss pedals and some other ones.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm not good at like soldering at all. I've tried. I've watched like videos.
It's not easy. It's not easy. I've built like 5 guitar pedals from scratch, like with kits and other stuff. And my friend runs a pedal company. If you ever are interested, he's got really cool shit. His designs are sick too. It's called Dirty Haggard Audio out of here. It's my friend Nick.
Sweet.
It's all like really, his whole thing is about really like fucking loud fuzzes and like kind of utilitarian pedals and drives that he does whatever tech shit he does, and he knows how to use certain parts. When you have it blasting, even when you're like not playing, it's like completely quiet, like super cool. Fucking low noise pedals. So if that's something, if you ever look into it, his shit's great. I love him.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check him out.
Shout out, Nick. Love you. Okay. Anyways, so pedal. Oh, sorry, your chain.
Okay.
Sorry, I got distracted.
So, all right. So my main distortion is a Friedman BEOD pedal.
Oh, Friedman. I've seen that, I think.
I don't do anything. Everything is at noon except for the volume.
Is that the pedal? Is it kind of like using it? I know he does like a Marshall like head like clone that he makes. Yeah. I guess the company. I thought it was one dude, but he has like a pedal. Is it like a Marshall pedal?
The guy started. I think he like started it. Like I think he was like modding amps for people, and then started his own amps and stuff. Yeah. But it's just like the awesomest. Like it just sounds like the awesomest hot rodded Marshall.
Yeah.
Like that you've been looking for. There's like so much gain on it. It's insane.
I've never used a lot of Marshalls.
That's the main, like I use that, and like that is the main. I've used it on our past 2 records. Like that's just what I use. Every now and then I'll use like some sort of tube screamer something to tighten it up.
Yeah. When
we're playing in like lower tunings, like A or something, but. That is the main distortion sound. And like, yeah, that is I recommend that pedal. It's just, all you have to do is you can keep it at noon and just make it sound awesome.
Dude, hell yeah. Sorry, I just had to text my girlfriend. I'm like, please don't run in the room here.
No, but yeah, that is the sound. Like you can go into any Guitar Center or whatever and pick one up.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that pedal before, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I always look. There's times I don't go to Guitar Center too often, but the one here, I'll go in after like weeks and go, it's all the same fucking pedals. Like no one bought anything. Sometimes, but they do have some good deals on used ones sometimes. But the Friedman. Can I ask? Is there an influence as far as I feel like, how big of a Kurt Ballou fan are you, or influence is him or Converge in your music? Just curious.
In the
Not that
music,
I hear it or anything. I was just because I hear the being super into the Marshall tone, which you mentioned Kurt below, which I was like, I'm assuming you're a big Kurt fan. I am a big Kurt fan too.
yeah. I don't know about
Converge,
the music.
he uses a lot of Marshall like amps. I think on a lot of the older albums, right?
I love the guitar sound, and like that's something that I noticed that I started like leaning more towards is like a more like Marshall-y sounding distortion. Like when I was like feeling out like guitar pedals, or like what I used to use years ago, I used to only use amp distortion or whatever, but then like I couldn't take the hiss. Like when you would stop playing and you would just hear like from the amp, even if you had like a noise suppressor, like I didn't want to set up another one in the effects loops to like cut the noise or whatever.
Yeah.
So then I don't remember if someone told me or something, but they were just like, why don't you just use like a preamp pedal in a clean channel? And actually, you know what? I did that from, I needed to run our loops.
Yeah.
Like I tried running them through like the PA or whatever, and like it would fail and stuff. So I developed a chain where it was like the distortion pedal, which the first distortion pedal that I started doing this with it's called the Dan Electro Pastrami. It's like a $30 pedal.
Yeah.
And I used it for like 3 years, like exclusive.
Is it one of those like the plasticky kind of like wonky 60s looking ones?
It's like that.
I have a Dan Electro one right there. It's the red one. It's like a distortion. It sounds like 90s distortion. I think I watched a JHS video and he was talking about it. I was like, I saw it for like $20. I was like, yeah, I'll buy it. Why not?
Yeah, because I used to split my amps with, I would have a tuner pedal and then another tuner pedal at the end, because it could go stereo.
Yeah.
But I found out you could get like the ABY box.
Yeah, well, that was before. I mean, I would have not known that too when I was younger, or not. I don't know how old you were at that point, but like even as like in my 20s, I would have been like early 20s. I'm like, I literally found it. Oh, there's a pedal that you can literally there's a Behringer one I have. You can just put one source in, send it two, or put two into one. You can reverse it, I think.
Yeah. So that was at the end of my chain. And so I needed to like cut all sound. So I would do a distortion pedal, then my tuner, which there was this band, I don't remember where they were from. They were called Towers. And we played with them. Yeah, I don't remember where they were from. We played with them in like 2007. And they did this thing where, I mean, it's not rocket science, but I abuse it now. So like, they would be playing and then just cut. They would click the tuner on and cut it, and so they'd be like noise, noise.
So they would use it as an effect.
They would basically use it as like a kill switch or whatever. And and I remember
that works.
Going back and forth. So it'd be like, and I was like, that's the most genius thing ever. You put before your distortion and it cuts all sound.
And that, live, it hits because you're doing a part, right? You're standing in the middle of the stage, right? Two guitars, the amps. Being able to hard cut where there's no noise. Like obviously live, if you watch it and people are doing on the other side. If there's it's not, I don't know. I think sonically it'll hit harder if it's. I do notice that because then, like, I fucking worked merch for Yngwie Malmsteen a while ago. Yeah, he's a fucking bitch. Fuck him. No, he's such an asshole. He said no. I know that's that's a really unhinged statement, I guess. But everyone that knows him hates him. Even his tour manager hated him. Hopefully he's not listening. He's not listening to this. But
he's the number one listener.
Oh, he had fucking like 10 Marshall stacks on his stage, and they were sound checking. It's just. I was like, dude, fuck you. I'm like, just put a noise suppressor. I mean, that wouldn't even really have done much at that point.
I'm going to say, like, okay.
It was annoying.
I don't know how that works. I'm sure I'm sure anyone watching doesn't even notice the hiss.
They don't.
You know what
Musicians do, but not. Or like people that play who know. They're like, oh god, annoying. Like I always get so annoyed when the band sets up and they're just playing. Like I'm not mad at them. I'm just like, oh god, and it's just, like make or just like a noise, and I'm like, dude, just get, why are you using like a 212 Black Star combo? Like fucking just. I'm like, it's like that's like $100. Like, not to shame people for having cheap gear. Like I grew up poor and had cheap gear, but like there's ways to not.
I still have gear.
I'm an advocate for cheap gear.
Yeah, it's the best.
It is the best. I mean, not always, but it is the best. Some stuff is the best. I'm surprised. I've played Ibanez guitar. There was like those art core series, I think, like the Hollow Bodies, and
that's what it was.
I played one before, and I was like, God, this is terrible. So I mean, but that one might be different. That one, I was saying the those really big Hollow Bodies, like the big.
Are you talking about like the super deep
like the
one?
super like jazz ones? I played one before. I was just like I just didn't like how it felt. The fretboard was weird, but anyway.
I've always liked like ES335 guitars. Yeah. I think they scream rock and roll. It just makes me think rock and roll. I don't know. I like it.
Do you find that? I have an Epiphone Sheraton, which is like a hollow body, like a BB King guitar. That guitar I've tracked is the thickest fucking tone I've ever had from any other guitar. I think I saw an article. I saw something where I think what was it Wolfgang Van Halen, like Van Halen's kid. He plays a bunch of like hollow bodies, and he was just saying like people have this weird perception of hollow bodies where like they're like, oh, whatever, and I'm like, they're not for like rock or other I'm like, dude, literally, like if you do loud stuff like for what you do, it seems like if you want a feedback, you just fucking go bah, and it just goes bah, because it'll start resonating. You can do a lot of cool feedback shit really easily. Obviously not great in some musical circumstances, but the tone is just so chunky, and if you have good pickups on it, like that one has the stock one. They're still all right, but I've got great tone. Sorry, what?
Which Sheridan do you have?
I don't know. It's a ebony Sheraton. I don't know. I bought it for $300 at a Guitar Center in Seattle in like 2008. Whoa. I've had it for.
I've been wanting to get one for a while, but they're so expensive used. Even like really? I can't find.
Yeah, I mean they go new. You can buy a new one from like Musician's Friend or somewhere for like Sweetwater. They're still like $600 something, which is a little more pricey for like a not a. I mean, it's cheap, but not cheap in the grand scheme of like. Like a $200 Squire, like Telly or something like that. I do say that the amount of guitars that Epiphone does that are in the 4 to up range are extremely well built compared to the really low tier ones. There's the really low tier, like those little shitty little Les Pauls that they're great, whatever. They're fine, they play, but they're not like set. It's just the quality of the components and or like the nuts, plastic, and then they bump it up a little bit for certain models. But I do say I love that guitar, and I literally will never get rid of it. If you are the same as me, and or you like hollow bodies and you like guitar, if you get one, you'll probably never get rid of it. So if you see one for a good price, I would snag one.
Yeah, I have seen some for, I don't know. I should have jumped on them, but I didn't.
I don't know why I got mine for $300 with a hard case. They were just getting rid of it. I mean, this is back. I don't know. They didn't give a shit. That Guitar Center's not even there anymore. Got ripped down. But
unfortunately, the hollow body broke this last run. Like,
oh no,
it's dead. It is done for.
Well, I'll look into a guitar company and be like, hey, you should sponsor this guy. He's really good. We're going on a Europe tour. This is me. Here, I'll mail you my Sheraton. You can fucking use it for the tour.
No. I appreciate it, but
you're like, I don't want to fucking ruin this or break. Yeah,
exactly.
I know. Even if it did, I wouldn't be mad, but I'd be like, yeah.
You say that now.
You know what? I'm starting to learn to let things go. I was very like hoarding, collecting. I have 5 billion guitar pedals and other. yeah, I started playing Magic the Gathering. I went from playing with Matt Marshall. He got me hooked like a year or two ago, and now I have like 2,000 cards, and
Yo.
I love it. It's great. Anyways, I have a couple more questions before I let you go. So
Here, but yeah,
I noticed. I just don't want to take up too much of your time. I have like another 40 minutes left. I gotta take my dog to the. I gotta take my dog to the vet with my girlfriend, but she's good though. She's just getting shots. What would you be doing besides music if you were gonna have to pick something to like focus on? I know you do art, and I see your art, and I noticed your art was one of the album covers, right?
No, a lot of people.
Wait, what did
think
I thought I saw that.
A lot of people think that because I have a similar style, but
yeah, okay.
I did a piece for a friend's band from South Carolina. They're called Catholics, but
Okay.
no. A lot of people think that because the styles are kind of similar, and I originally wanting to do some kind of artwork for the album, but then because I followed this artist, and when I saw that piece, I was like, oh, that's the album. Like I saw it and was like,
yeah,
that's the album right there.
It looks like a blood river with like mountains, but like it's just spackled. Like it's cool. It's also the background on your Bandcamp. It's a cool look. I've seen your art though from you posting stuff. Have you been doing art stuff for a while, or like you just got into it one day and were like, fuck it, I'm gonna do art?
I've been painting on and off for years, and I was always kind of just like, I don't know, just like anytime I would paint or get back into painting or like whatever, I would be like, cool, hell yeah. And I didn't even, it actually took me a very long time to even think about showing anyone anything, because I was just like, dude, this is just for me. Like, I don't know. Like, and then Bob, our bass player, saw my stuff and was like, dude, you should like post about it or something. And I'm like, I don't know. And then, so.
Was it just like not thinking anyone would care, or like it's not that good, or like you just nervous someone will think it's like bad or something?
I mean,
or just like, you're like, I don't know, I don't need to show it. It's mine. Like, whatever.
Yeah, it was just like, I don't know, this is for me kind of deal.
I mean, it's the same with your music. It's an art, like, you know, it's to be shared in some ways, but I mean, if you don't want to, you don't have to, but you know, what's the hurt? I mean, here's the thing I would say. If someone's like, that's great, I'll give you money, right? And you're like, oh shit. And then you can make it, you know, there's ways of like making income where you're like, I don't have to work a normal job. Like, fuck it. I make art. People like it, you know?
Yeah. If I didn't do music, I would just be focusing on art.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Anything else, or just like that? Like, what other hobbies do you have?
I don't know. Like, I love playing music so much. I mean, I do also I like recording music and like mastering music. I noticed
it said you mastered the Fest album. I was listening to it.
Yes. I mastered it. Our friend recorded it and mixed it, and then I mastered it. I mastered a couple things too for like Holy Ghost Tabernacle Choir.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I like it. I like mastering music better than mixing, because sometimes, like mixing my own stuff, no problem. Mixing stuff for other bands, it's like you get sent like 40 tracks for guitar, for drums. And then you get sent
40. Like, that's a fuck ton of trash.
25 tracks for guitars.
That doesn't.
And it's like,
no, wait, really? You got sent 20 fucking guitar tracks?
I've gotten some wild mixing things in the past.
That's ridiculous.
And it's like, you do a mix and you think it's awesome, and then you send it, and then the band has revisions and you do them. But then they have either more revision that I'm trying to think of how to word.
You can't go back and fix because you already fucking got to a point, or no?
Either that, or I've had a couple projects where they expect you to do sorcery. Like one project.
I've been there.
Yeah, one project. It was like there was a mono, like clean guitar, and the band wanted it to be like a stereo distorted guitar to match their like distorted for later, and I was like, I feel like we got extremely close, but it was
You just
there was like
you throw like an expander or not
yeah.
expander. You throw like a fucking imaging like plug in like a stereo imager. That shit always will just fuck up mixes and make them sound stupid. The only thing I could say is like you'd have to take that channel and copy it and just pan them and then tweak the other guitar tonally to make, but it's gonna sound the same. It's just, I mean, but it's just gonna sound, if the mono signal down the middle is just gonna sound the same if you pan the same fucking signal and pan them out. Like they don't understand like the actual like, I won't say physics, but the actual sonic characteristics of stuff like that are gonna not really sound like what they want.
Yeah, it's a whole, it's like, hey, listen, this might not be what you want, you know what I mean, like kind of deal, but like you try, you know what I mean, like whenever I'm mixing something for someone, I'm definitely like giving it 2,000%, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I've had enough nightmares with mixing and or like tracking too. I had a band come in literally like, we're ready to go, cool, and then like as I'm tracking, they're like, yeah, like we're gonna do a good lead part here. I was like, cool, like yeah, I'll like wing it, and I'm just like, no, yeah. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, I'll just like, here, let me just like write some. I'm like, no, no, you came in here like I'm tracking you, you're homies, I'm giving you a fucking deal, a whole 5-song EP mixed mass recorded for $300. You're not wasting my time. You're not the fucking Beatles. Like, what do you think you're gonna just like write in the studio? No. I was like, no. I was like, nah. I think we just moved on, or they tried to do a lick, and I was like, cool, you're good. I'm a little blunt when I don't know if I'm not like mean, but I'm very blunt with people, which is like, and I don't know if it's the ADHD thing, but some people take that as perceived like you're being rude. But I end up producing half the time when I'm tracking bands. I end up half the time producing some other stuff or like telling them to change or just naturally. And if I'm close enough to them, they'll like perceive it as like, yeah, like this is cool. But if it's a band I don't know, I don't usually do that. But
I would love to produce. I've tried. There's like a couple of like.
Uh-oh.
Asked me to help or produce or whatever. Oh,
you're good.
Oh, is it all right now?
Yeah, you're good.
All right. So. Cool. Yeah, no, I've wanted to get into like producing or whatever, but the two like friends bands who've like asked it like they ended up breaking up or whatever, and I'm like, all right, well. So,
okay, never mind.
Yeah,
did. What do you use mastering wise? Like, do you use Pro Tools or Logic? What kind of dog guy are you?
I mix and master in why can't I think of what it's called?
Studio One, Cubase.
Not Garage. What's the one for Mac?
Audacity. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
The Logic. Logic's great. I used Logic before. I'm a Pro Tools guy at heart though.
Oh yeah. Okay. Pro Tools. Yeah. Pro Tools is tough for me because I had to do a lot in Pro Tools when I was like cutting, when I was helping lathe cut records.
Yeah.
And they use Pro Tools. I mean, and also Logic too, like whatever's going to help get the job done. But there were certain things I had to do in Logic where I was like, wait, this is kind of tricky now. When you know Logic, it's easy, but when you don't know Logic, for me, and I'm very illiterate with technology. I like it. It's hard for me to like learn new programs or like when I get a program, I'm like, there we go, let's go.
Yeah, if you know it really well, and you just, I'll say this for DAWs, it's like if you just use one and you learn the inside out, and that's your favorite one. Essentially, they're all the fucking same. It's just different like flavors of like how things function. For me, Pro Tools, I use Pro Tools mainly. I use Reason, Propellerhead's Reason a lot for music creation, doing a lot of electronic or just even jamming out. Like I have an album. It's like I'm working on a shoegazy kind of like really heavy pop kind of album that I produced all of it in Reason because it's so easy for me to flow and just pull up tracks and it all works on a grid in Reason where it's just like a rack unit. Like it's just rack where you just throw fucking devices and stuff. And then you have like a mixer and this and that. Pro Tools is the same. It's like kind of the same, but it's not as easy to like, you can do plugins and it gets kind of annoying. But it doesn't matter what you use. It's just whatever result you get out of it. But it is hard. Like I jump into Ableton, I feel like a fucking boomer. I'm like, well, how do you and then this is like something a lot of people use and they love. I'm like, oh my God, like the UI is disgusting. Like the I gotta use the little arrow to turn up the volume knobs. I'm like, I hate Ableton. Personally, I just don't like Ableton.
Yeah.
It's got its benefits, but
well, so okay, all right. I miss the simplicity of using Audacity. So when I was a kid, I started out with Sound Recorder. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's doing the thumbs thing on the camera.
Yeah, I started with Sound Recorder.
Yeah.
You could only record 1 minute like at a time. So like you record up to the minute, and then if you quick hit record again, it would continue. So you could go from there. And you could like reverse stuff. You could slow it down, speed it up. And then I found out about Audacity. And that was, I mean, eyes blown out the back of my head. It was like, you could record multiple things at once. You could pan left and right, like all this stuff. I mean, most of the shit that I recorded in high school, I'm sure is inaudible because I didn't know anything about
me too.
EQ or volume. I just left everything at 0. So it was loud. It was loud. But I miss the simple days of just like not worrying about trying to get something to sound like it was recorded at God City.
You don't give a shit. You just hit record and fucking did it and went, cool, great.
And it goes, like, or, we're even knowing about EQing or frequencies, harsh frequencies or anything like that, just being like, oh, it sounds awesome. Aren't you stoked? I panned my guitars left and right. It's the greatest invention ever. Like, and I don't know, when I found out that I really like recording, that was a little bit of a nightmare because I actually had it was like a dinosaur Mac from 2010 and I couldn't update it. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get any actual Ws. So what I was doing was for a while, I would track everything in Audacity. Then I would bounce it out and I would mix it in GarageBand.
Yeah.
Then if I needed plugins, whatever plugins I could use, I was only able to run them in Reaper. So I would throw them in Reaper, like bounce it that way, rebounce it out, and put it back into GarageBand, and then go from there. It was truly a labor of love.
Yeah, no, I've done some stuff like that. Reaper. I remember using Reaper. I remember liking it kind of, but then I was just like, it's like literally just felt like Pro Tools. So I was like, I would just use Pro Tools to me. But you can actually change the UI on Reaper to even make it look or like flow like Pro Tools. Like they have a thing where you can customize. I think Reaper's a great DAW. I always tell people, I'm learning how to do this. I go, just download Reaper. It's free. It'll say like 5-second timer, like, oh, do you want to pay for the license? You don't have to. It won't cripple it. Just wait for it to end and then click out of it and start using it. It is a little complicated with the plugins. It's like very archaic. Like you pull up like a compressor. It's just like, what the fuck? Like it's just like a Windows 95 screen where you got like, it's just knobs or just like little dials. I'm like, okay, you have to know what you're doing. Like to figure it out on the fly. If you don't know, they do have like presets. You're like, oh, guitar compressor. Boom, there you go, nailed it. Which we all know presets are never the best, but it's like a starting point.
It's a starting point, yeah.
It's a starting point. Just like in mastering, like for stuff I master, as far as you were talking about how you do mastering, I'll usually in Pro Tools on the channel, I'll put either like some slight EQ on like whatever the bus I have, or do a couple little tweaks to make it sound good, and then I will put a different limit. I'll stage a couple different limiters, and then I run it through like Ozone. I use Ozone 9, which is like they're on 11 now, but I'm sure it's just as good, like whatever. So I use Ozone. That is a great tool for they have like the AI thing you could do where it just listens and it does like a starting point, and then from there I tweak and then go in and deep dive. But I've gotten pretty good results, but I just never feel like like some stuff I've mastered, I went, fuck yeah, that's sick. And then sometimes I do it and it seems good, and then I like listen back, I'm just like, I didn't like, it's still a process I'm learning to like be happy with the final mix, even though like the perception of what I hear, even when you're in your DAW listening to it going, this is what it's going to be like, and then you bounce it out, even listening to the same speakers, that bounced out track, it will sound different just because it's not going through the routes it is through everything to come out. Like once it's printed, it will, then it won't sound different, but I've done mixes where I'm like, this sounds great, and then I like bounce it out and I'm like, why is the guitar so fucking quiet now? I'm like, I don't remember. So there's some sort of, I think it's the space, the EQing in this room is not great. So that is a very big important for like mastering, is like, you have to have your shit like pretty set up well, but mine's not. I got shit all over the place. I got my whole rack unit right here with all my compressors and my Pultecs and shit just in the way. So it's like signals are just bouncing everywhere. So
yeah.
Audio's bouncing everywhere.
Are you a headphones mixer master, or
I'm a monitor guy. I have two Cali Audio 8-inch speaker, big ass monitors in front of me.
You have the 2-way or the 3-way?
The 2-way. I have the older ones.
Okay, so
they're great. I fucking love these. These are like the best monitors I ever had.
They make them. I actually get the 3-ways for mastering. Everything I've heard, like I heard them at a Guitar Center. It was like pretty sweet. I've watched a bunch of like reviews, read up. But okay, it really is all about knowing like your stuff. But so this is gonna sound stupid, but I have had the best results personally for me. I'm only talking about mixing right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Mixing in my car.
Mixing in your car with a laptop?
I mix in my car. I take my laptop, I go out to my car, I plug it into my car stereo.
Yeah.
Because I know it so well. And
it's just a reference. It's the same thing with monitors. Like, if you know what you can get and you know how it sounds, it will translate. And that's the point of monitors, where they have very flat frequency response. So when you're mixing, you're at a neutral level to where the one problem I will say with these Cali 8s are the bass response is a little wonky depending on the room, or there's a bunch of dip switches on the back where it'll show physical diagrams of how close that you are to the wall, this and that, where you can actually flip it where it'll actually cut probably some decibels on the bass, and all the front the bass is all front ported, so it's coming out the front instead of like hitting. I've had other ones where the bass is hitting the wall and then smacking the wall, coming back to me, so then you're having like, oh, it sounds really bassy, but it's like a perceived fake like illusion, and then you go and you go, where's all the fucking bass in the mix when you listen to it somewhere else? I think these are great if you know how to like set them up in the room right, and your room's EQ'd okay, and you flip the dip switches exactly what the situation is. These are perfect. I will say they are, even with that, they are still a little overly bassy sometimes. Okay. So when I listen to the mix and I feel like the bass is rocking really good, I bring it down just a couple decibels. Yeah. Just to make sure, okay, this sounds really good, but I know that, and there are limitations with that, with anyone. Like, I have some mid-frequency hearing loss from playing in loud rooms with guitars and not wearing earplugs and shit. So I have some hearing loss. So like some mid-frequencies when I'm mixing, right, and I go, sounds great, they're super trebly, and I go, what the fuck? Because my hearing is dampened in those mid-frequency areas to where it sounds good to me because I can only hear certain frequencies because my ears are damaged or something. So there's even audio engineers who are like world famous engineers that are older that have like certain hearing issues or this and that, but they know about it to where they can compensate, which is like blows my mind. They're like, yeah, I have like, my ears are fucked up, but I mean, your hearing goes down as you age. You lose about you lose about 1K every 10 years. So when you're born, you can hear 20 hertz to 20,000 kilohertz, right? After 10 years, it goes to like 19,000 kilohertz. So I did an audio test at an actual place, and my hearing, anything past 16,000 kilohertz, I can't hear. So if you do a sine wave test and you just, and then once you get past, it goes, and it's just gone. And I go, oh shit, yeah. Anyone could do a test like that to see what your hearing is. But like, there's not a lot of information past, there's not a lot of information that's really that valuable past like probably 18,000 kilohertz. That's why perceivable in that range.
You got to mix an album to where everything is just in there that no one can hear.
Just fucking cut, just high cut high cut. So there's low pass, high pass, right? Low pass means let the low pass, you're cutting the highs. High pass means you're taking the lows out. But it should be low cut, high cut, because you're cutting the high, you're cutting the low.
I know.
That's an engineer that told me. It should be that way. It should be said that way. I got a dip, but this has been great, okay. Logan. I hope you have a great day, brother. And thanks for talking to me, my man.
Yeah, anytime.
Dude, hell yeah, brother. Like I said, if you ever come out to Portland, let me know if you need any booking. I know you have a booker, but if you want to send him my way, I can help book it with him or something. If you come out here anytime in the future.
Yeah, of course.
I would love to help with that if I can. But all right, brother. I'll catch you later, brother. Keep rocking in the free world.
Yeah, you do.
Keep rocking in the free world, man. All right, bud. You take it easy, okay?
Yeah, take it easy.
All right, see you, bud. All right, well, thanks for being here. Hope you have a great day. Make sure to follow us on our socials on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Friendster. You know all the good sites. So, you take it sleazy and look out for the next episode.